Welcome to the Daily Dev Talk with me, Adrian Nantchev, where we explore and share experiences, stories, and lessons 7 days a week from across the games industry, helping you make the best game you can. Stay tuned for today's episode. Good morning, Overload Nation. Welcome to another episode of the Daily Dev Talk, talking to game developers from across the world to bring you experiences, stories, and lessons 7 days a week. Today, I'm joined with Michael Benda and Philipp Schäfer to talk about their first game, Schein, from their own studio, Zepplin Studios. Michael and Philipp, talk about yourselves first, please, and how you both got in the games industry.
Well, hi, I'm Michael Benda. In our small studio, I'm the project manager and the co-founder. And this is Philipp.
Yeah, I'm the other co-founder, and I'm mostly taking care of programming and such kind of stuff. Together we studied game engineering and simulation in Vienna, and Schein was kind of the game where we got together and hooked up and founded the company.
So during this master's degree we did in Vienna, you actually learn how to build a game from A to Z. So it's AI to graphics to whatever. So whatever it takes technically to build a game, and part of it was to create an actual game. And Schein was this part. So we created this idea of the game and created during the university. And the lecturers told us, okay, guys, you're gonna create a game now, and it will be your last chance anyhow. So do whatever you like. In the end, we proved them wrong, but still, it was a little bit motivating to do something special back then. If you hear words like that.
Oh, I see. So we're talking a lot of object orientation, a lot of AI theory, and beyond.
Yeah.
Creating an entire game from scratch.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell me about your studio then, Zepplin Studio. Is it just you two, and how many people are there, and what's the structure and such?
We are kind of the core thingy, if you want to say it like this. But most of the time we have, of course, an artist for a project, and then we have a marketing person, we have a digital programmer. So it's like 2 to 5 people all the time for the projects. And we are really distributed, so we don't have like one place where, like you can see it in the video, we are sitting on like different places and working all the time via Skype. So there's like a morning meeting where we tell each other what we are doing and what we already did at the last day. And we kind of started with Schein, the university project, and did up until now some commission work, a mobile game and a first-person shooter. And since this week we are starting again to do our own stuff, which is really awesome. So yeah, hop in, have fun.
All right, so tell me about Schein then, and what you wanted the players to experience.
So Schein is a very tricky puzzle platformer. The special feature of it that it plays with the player's power to illuminate hidden dimensions. So the player can uncover objects within these dimensions, and that's the core mechanic. So you only can interact with things that you see, and you don't see it at first. So you need to first go there, shine a light on it, haha, shine, what a pun, and then work with the objects you uncover. And it tells a rather sad story. So it's about the father looking for his lost son, and I'm crying right now because I have something in my eye. But it's also about the sad story. So yeah, that's the core idea of this game that we had.
When it came to creating the game, what was the starting point? Did you create your own engine and totally start from scratch, or did you start with third party and take it from there, or did it take a while to get the development and the design fully started?
Unfortunately,
fully
we have
finished?
to say we did everything from scratch. So we started doing the engine.
Right.
First, there was this design. So we had many ideas. We did brainstorming huge mind maps. We actually learned techniques how to think of games and how to find a nice mechanic for them. So we had many ideas, and this one was the most intriguing one. So a very simple idea with a very simple mechanic that's easy to learn for the players, but it's scalable to really fast-paced action, jumping and running passages. We need skill to really tricky puzzles. So that's where it started with a concept document with the several pages, and from there we decided, okay, we're at university, we can do that. So we started creating our own engine, uh, really from scratch, from s- no code lines, C++, DirectX. Um, that has its advantages and disadvantages. So I wouldn't recommend anyone to do that, actually. But hey, we were back then, we were students, we were young, and we just tried it out. So it was really interesting to do that. And during this process, um, we refined the game, changed things, kicked things out until we really could focus on this core mechanic with this tight, small story. Um, and yeah, 3 years later, I think we actually released it.
Hmm. And when it came to the build-up of the release, how did you go about promoting the game? What strategies worked well and what didn't work so well?
So I think it's the same with everyone nowadays. Traditional marketing doesn't work anymore as well as it did. So ads and stuff, we tried it, but it did not work at all. What would work, or what worked for us, was social network. Just staying on Twitter, being active, Twitter, Facebook, even Google Plus, um, writing blog posts, being there in the community, talking to people, responding to uh, requests of the community. So this social thing is far better than any traditional marketing. Still, we did many mistakes. So we started marketing very late. So oh, it wasn't marketing, it's just talking to people. So we started talking to people in a very late stage of the game. Um, so in future, our plan is to start earlier, just to share concept art, to share, to progress, to process. Um, because I think that's what indie development right now is about. You can really look into the whole process of creating games as a player, as a person that's interested in that. That's not possible with AAA companies. So um, this is the way we work in terms of marketing.
I think it's also good to mention Let's Plays, which was also a big part. So a lot of people approached us, but we also had like a big list, and we sent out keys and dev demos and stuff. So people shared playing Schein on YouTube, which was nice.
Do you think it doesn't work with AAA because there's a lot of NDAs?
Yes,
Simple as that,
Yeah.
you suggest, you think?
it's not simple as that. I would say,
Right.
but it's a big part of it because even as we worked for commissioned work, uh, we could not talk about it. We could not talk about. I mean, it was just small projects, but we couldn't say
Hmm.
anything about it in fear of um, not agreeing to the not being within the NDA. So it really strips you down to the smallest information. So yes, we are working on something, but we can't say anything. So that's a huge part about it. Um, the other reasons why companies wouldn't share their projects, hard to say. I think they want to save their resources for the actual successful titles, so they would not share titles in early stages where they still would just back down and stop the development at some point because that wouldn't make any sense. So creating a buzz for a title that in the end gets stripped, I think that would be a big part of it. So that's one of the reasons again,
Hmm.
not sharing.
And speaking of talking about it, how did you go about getting press attention for magazines to write about you and such? Did you manage to get any? And if so, how did you get it?
Philip or me? Okay.
We sent out actually mails to most of them. So we
Hmm.
approached them and we gave them a key and say, hey, could you please play our game? We were kind of selective, so searching for people who already like played similar titles and like them, or yeah, of course, and meaning just like playing such kind of games. Uh, and in my opinion, it got pretty well. So we have like a rock paper shotgun article, which was kind of big.
Hmm.
It's such a long time ago. I mean, it's quotes ago. So yeah, but in the end, we had a big list of press contacts and wrote them like on a regular basis if you have something nice to say, if something big was going on.
And in the end, it's really 24/7 job to do
Hmm.
marketing, to do promotion. First, we didn't have like we did it ourselves. Then Tiare joined our team, um, and she was responsible for all the marketing, PR, stuff like that. And it really took at least one person full time to manage all the emails and stuff like that, to actually look through our lists, look who is interested in playing puzzle platforms actually, because you would not give this game, an indie game, to somebody who's only interested in AAA, let's say shooters or I don't know, multiplayer titles. So it really takes up a lot of the time. So really, for others, get somebody else doing it or have somebody in your company, in your team, uh, doing that as a full-time job.
Well, it's always helpful to have people to delegate the work to.
Yeah.
So I'm curious then, did you get any negative press attention or problems from within the fan base, and how did you deal with it?
In
I
general,
Michael, go ahead.
um, the most negative feedback we got was the difficulty of the game. So, and with that, we can cope with. So it's about the game. It's about our design choice. We did it on purpose. It is difficult. So it was not a problem such. It was just the opinion of many people, even many reviewers. It's just at some point it gets frustrating. And we worked with this. We actually did some updates. We changed very frustrating parts. We kicked some parts out. We put some uh, smoother parts in. But still, we reacted to that, and I think that helped a lot, pushing the game even further. Um, but as long as it's about the game, and as long as you can talk about it, discuss it, it's not a problem. So we never got attacked or I don't know what. Um, so it was all within nice limits, I'd say.
I can remember
Hmm.
like one annoying bug in the beginning. So at some setups, the game was crashing right at the beginning. So you start a game and it crashes. But yeah, this was kind of a first week release thingy, which I think just needs to happen, especially if you do your own engine. But since we fixed it, it's gone. Yeah, it's away. Um,
Okay. So, speaking of feedback, how did you go about QAing the game and getting feedback for the game in order to improve it? Did you post it all over game forums or such? What did you do exactly?
we started midway. I think it was kind of the point where the marketing person joined our team. We had a dev demo, um, which we updated like every month or so. So it was one special level, and we kept it to the ending. It was really handy, also for exhibitions because it has like the first chapters of the game combined in one level, and yeah, people can look at it, people can write about it, people can test it, people uh, can even bug test it, so QA it.
Hmm.
But at the end, like 1 year before release or so, we put up a bug genie, which is like a bug tracker, which is a special kind of forum where you can raise issues and like push it to people, say, okay, this is an engine kind of thingy. I have a weird behavior here. You can put up videos and stuff, and we sent it to all of our friends and said, hey, please play our game. Please be hard. Write everything down you're recognizing. This worked kind of well, so we kind of got overflowed with lots of issues and bugs in the beginning. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So, speaking of the game, what was cut from the game and why? Perhaps it would have meant it was too big or not fun, or you wouldn't have got it finished on time.
Yeah, this is a good point. Especially since the team changed during our development. So there was like every time lots of brainstorming involved and like features and lots of senseless features. So we thought about like doors with keys and finding keys, and you have chests where you find those keys or other stuff. You have items, you have an inventory even, which is really a bad idea. We thought about small enemies, so typical platforming thing. And in this case, we thought about like hiding in the dark, which is like a new mechanic. So every part and every idea was like a new thing. So it wasn't kind of bent to the slide mechanic. So we throw it out in the end because it just got the focus away. So our goal was to stay on the slide thing and throw out everything else. One thing stayed up until the end, which was the double jump. So of course, a platformer without a double jump is like it's not really a platformer.
It has to have a double jump.
It has to have a double jump. So this was kind of the biggest decision because it was also already connected to one large swarm creature you need to defeat to get this double jump. It was a frog, and as far as I can recall, I already programmed the AI. So there was a particle system already hopping around. You can defeat it. You could defeat it, and then got a double jump. So it was also implemented, but then we said, okay, no, this double jump is not a light mechanic, so it was killed in the end. Also,
You can
the
still find the
story,
double jump as a cheat.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
really handy for debugging the game. Uh, but yeah, you can try to find it.
and like Michael already said, we did like a little bit of cutting, not only some passages, but also the story.
Okay. So, what was the biggest thing you both learned while working on Shine?
Since we never made a game before that, it was so many things we learned. So um, apart from the stuff university prepared us for, there was okay, the technical part. How do you do it on paper? How do you do it in theory? But then actually creating a game, like an actual game, that's different. So we learned everything there was to learn back then, and we're still learning a lot of stuff. So from the point we decided, okay, we're gonna keep doing this. Um, it's from just programming the game up to handling a company as such.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
as I said, it's really a lot, and we are fortunate that the uh, game industry in Austria is kind of active, especially for newcomers. They can join together in meetings. There are many um, events, many presentations, and that helped us a lot during this first phase of creating this game. So we spoke to many people, showed the game to many people, got feedback from them, got feedback not only for the game, but even for how do you form a company, how do you manage a team, how do you talk to people, stuff like that. So getting out there and talking to people really helped us a lot in that part. Um, One thing that we uh, learned was that it's great if everybody knows a little bit about what the other people are doing within the team. So if the graphic designer knows a little bit what the programmer is doing or can actually do, and vice versa. So if the programmer knows, okay, the art guy has these options and we can actually use them. So that helps a lot, uh, making it and communicating, because we learned the language a programmer and a designer are using, that's totally different. So it differs a lot. Um, and as we told you before, creating your own engine might be a good choice if you're a big company and you have a lot of time, or if you don't need to finish the game in the end. But it has a lot of disadvantages. The most prominent one would be the multi-platform point, because we designed it for Windows only, and
Hmm.
that kept us away from other platforms, be it
And
Mac, Linux, or even consoles. So creating this game for other platforms would again be a new project for us.
interesting, and really restricted your market space as
Yes,
well.
unfortunately, yes.
And would you say that was the worst thing that happened while working on the game? The code only restricted you to one platform.
Um, it wasn't a thing that happened; it was a state, a permanent state. So um, it was a bad thing, but we could cope with it. And right now, the Windows market is, according to Steam statistics, still the biggest one. So it was all right. We would have liked to do more platforms as well, but it wasn't that bad. The worst thing that happened was um, team changes, I would call it. So we all started at university doing this one game together as a team, but as we developed the game, it took us 3 years. So people change and the team changed a lot. So as we finished university during this time, people decide, okay, I want to go find some work and do game development as a hobby, while others, that is Philip and I, decided we want to do it as a business to actually continue doing our own stuff. So there was a clash between these two groups, and luckily we could figure it out quite fast. So we got some agreements and stuff like that. All the law stuff. You don't want to do any law things while actually creating fun games, but it was necessary, and that was the worst part. That was the worst thing that happened during development. It In the end it was quite good, so we're still friends with all of them, but it led to a lot of discussions.
Uh-huh. Okay. So, what was the best game dev purchase you made? Whether it was a software license, or hardware, or equipment, or simply a comfortable chair, good desk, and a second monitor?
um, so actually, like the nicest thing, what kind of happened was we get to know. So there is like a DreamSpark program from Microsoft where you can have all the Microsoft or kind of some stuff from the Microsoft for people who are studying. But there's also BizSpark where you can get like all the dev tools and your operation system and office tools as a startup for the first 5 years for free, which was like, wow, cool. So this is like 70% of our software we are using. So yeah, great. It's actually not
Mm-hmm.
a purchase. It's like it's so great because it's kind of like top-notch software for free. Um,
One good thing
but
about it is it fits together,
yeah,
because everything is from one company. It just fits together, and that speeds up your development quite a lot.
Okay, I get you. One company, very useful. So, what game development related book, lecture, or learning resource can you recommend?
So, if you're a programmer, I would really recommend real-time collision detection by Ericsson, which is like a Bible for collision detection. So you can look up everything, and it's really well explained. There's also like lots of code you could use, and what is really great about it, like the last chapter is, it's explaining why some of the code is written like it is written, and then explains how like the machine actually like proceeds it. So you're learning like general programming stuff, which is really nice and well explained. So this would be like my programmer's advice. On the other hand, level design, concept theory, and practice is a nice thing by Kremers because it kind of combines game design and level design. So you're not just talking about games and what is flow, and this is a nice discussion. But in this book, actually, you're having the practice for it. So how can you create a level or a game so it works? So it kind of has this hands on, like what do I do with this knowledge? So this is nice. Read it.
Mm-hmm.
I think what everyone would recommend is Rules of Play. It's kind
Oh
of
yes.
the standard thing for this kind of books. And to go back to the programmers, which is kind of my bus read or something. So if I'm on a train, a fly, or whatever, the GPU games is already like always a nice collection of shading tricks and stuff. Magic, shader magic. Read it.
Mm-hmm. Rules of play. Okay. Michael, do you recommend a book or learning resource?
I just go with Philip. That's
Okay.
the main books we were using while building stuff. And I think the real-time collision detection is really good if you really want to build your own code. Many people rely on Unity and engines in general. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't really need it. You don't need to understand why this is happening and all the physics. Uh, but it might help even then.
Right. Okay. So, like an Evernote or Trello, do you have a useful or productivity enhancing software, app, extension, or website worth sharing?
Honestly, apart from the usual, like use notepads to write down things or Google Drive to share things, Trello, Skype, uh, use pen and paper. So uh, we used a lot of pen and paper just to draw stuff. You can share it on the camera as well, whiteboards and these. I love post-its. They're so handy. And in terms of level design, I always have it in front of me. Lego.
Mm-hmm.
It really
Unusual.
speeded up level design so much because you actually have this haptic feeling about it. You can shift it around and imagine the game in your head while shifting Lego pieces. Um, so I know it's not a software, it's not an app or anything, but it
But it's
helps
useful.
a lot and it's so useful. So that was, yeah, your question back then, best purchase. That was one of my best purchases in terms of creating levels for the game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Michael and Philip. Michael. Philip, what advice can you give to aspiring game developers, small indie studios, and people trying to get to where you are today?
First of all, we said a lot today. Don't make your own engine.
Right.
But apart from that, show your work to others.
Oh,
So, as you
definitely.
said, it helped a lot to show the work to other developers, to players, to the world. That includes competitions and awards. Don't be shy. Don't say, "Oh, it's not finished yet. It's not good enough." Show it. it helps, and it gives you feedback, and you can build on feedback. So that's like the main thing we keep telling people and aspiring game developers. Share your games. Don't be afraid that they might steal it or anything. If it's your idea, you can finish it until the end and spread it across the world. Just show it.
Yeah.
And
Go to local events.
what?
Go to local events. Like,
Yeah, start small.
hopefully there's like a local thing in your city where game developers meet up. Just go there, talk about your game, show it, and then you can kind of grow slowly.
Yeah, and start small. Don't start with a MMO or anything like that. Start small idea, and be sure to finish it. I think that's the hardest part in all of this, and we are actually really, really proud that we managed to take a university project and finish it to release game. At some point, you have to say, okay, I know it still has pieces that don't fit. It's still not perfect, but it's finished. It's over, and now people can play it. So really aspire to do that, and there will be things that won't be perfect in the end, but that doesn't matter because it would be the first game, and there will be many others if you actually finish the first.
All right. So, what is next for you, and what is the best way to contact you?
Brainstorming.
Yeah. So as we said before, we did some commissioned work, and that's over now. So we can do finally again our own ideas now. We can create our own games again. So this is actually the starting point tomorrow. We start doing our own games again, and we're totally looking forward to that. We have many ideas already. We just need to figure out the right one or the right ones, plural. And the best way to contact us, so many ways. You can just write an email to info@zeppelinstudio.net, or over Twitter, Zeppelin Studio, Facebook, Zeppelin Studio Games. So many ways. Feel free to bump us, write us anything, any questions, even about like game development in general. Just write us a line and we'll respond.
Well, gentlemen, it appears that we're out of time for this episode of the Daily Dev Talk. Plenty to talk about, plenty to think about, plenty to remember. Not to start the engine from scratch. Always sharing your work, and Lego is also useful for productivity. Some really cool concepts and cool ideas. So I wish you well on future endeavours.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So stay tuned, Overload Nation. More videos to come. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Daily Dev Talk with me, Adrian Nantchev. If you are a game developer that wants to get your name and game out there and to share your experiences and stories, or you have feedback or opinions of the show, then contact me at info@gameoverload.co.uk. That's info@gameoverload.co.uk. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode, more to come.